Pablo Picasso. Picasso was born on the 25th of October in 1881 in Spain. Picasso was a significant influence of the 20th century art, not only a master painter, but also a sculptor, a printmaker, a ceramics and an etching artist, and of course a writer. Picasso's most significant styles were symbolism, cubism, and surrealism. His painting Guernica, which was made in 1937, belongs to the symbolism period. His composition Peasants, which was made in 1960, belongs to cubism, and The Sailor, made in 1938, belongs to surrealism. However, I would like to present Picasso's blue period. Some paintings of this period are The Tragedy, made in 1903, Calestina, The Blue Room, and of course The Old Guitarist. The blue period started in 1901 and ended in 1904. However, it may have begun in the spring of 1901 or in Paris in the second half of the year. The characteristic of this period are the essentially monochromatic paintings in shades of blue and blue-green, only occasionally warmed by other colors. Picasso's blue period seems to reflect his experience of relative poverty and instability, depicting beggars, street urchins, the old and fair, and the blind. These sober works, inspired by Spain, but painted in Paris, are now some of the most popular, although he had difficulty selling them at the time. But of course Picasso was driven from some kind of inspiration. Picasso was influenced by a journey through Spain, but he was also influenced by the suicide of his friend, Carlos Casamegas, who took his life at a cafe in Paris by shooting himself in the Right Temple on February 17th of 1901. I started painting in blue when I learned of Casamegas' death, as art historian Helen Seckel has written. So he started in the latter part of 1901. He painted several portraits of Casamegas, culminating in the gloomy allegorical paintings La Vie Painting in 1903, and now in the Cleveland Museum of Art. One of the most famous paintings of this period, La Vie, was painted in Barcelona. It is considered as a memorial tribute to Picasso's close friend. The painting was finally finished in 1903, and its gloomy atmosphere fully reflected Picasso's preoccupation with life and death. However, it should be pointed out that Picasso seemed to be surrounded by signs of mortality. First of all, his younger sister died of diphtheria in 1895. Second, a friend of his, who was also a painter, had attempted suicide in 1897, but died because of poverty in the South Seas in 1903, just as Picasso was starting La Vie. Another painter friend committed suicide in 1899, and finally Carlos Casamegas committed suicide in France. So we come to the conclusion that the different styles and the different periods of art that Picasso created were like a turning point in his own disposition. More specifically, he was apt to adopt, discard, alter and readopt the style from his own past. We are now talking again about the blue period. He painted in shades of blue. The mood of the paintings is melancholy. He gathered subject from the prisons of Paris, and he liked to paint beggars and vagrants. So we come back to one of his most, or may I say the most famous painting that Picasso created through his blue period. This is The Old Guitarist. In this painting, the guitar held by the blind man was the only element that had a color variation. The brown color used was intending to symbolically represent the only tool that the man would use to redeem himself or set himself out of his poor state. It is claimed that Picasso used the color brown for the guitar instead of blue to represent the old man's only hope for survival. However, some people believe that Picasso took his inspiration from the famous painting Hope by the English painter George Frederick Wallace, which is depicted right here. Picasso died on the 8th of April in 1973 in Spain. The death of the Spanish-born artist was attributed to pulmonary edema, fluid in the lungs, by Dr. Jean-Claude Rans, a local physician. Doctors said that Picasso had been ill for weeks. He died in the age of 92 in Magens, France. With him when he died was his second wife, the 47-year-old Jacqueline Roch, whom he married in 1961.